Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Jump King Challenge. I am tweaking settings as I get ready for 100 Falls, a absolute behemoth. This is our 20th episode. We are living in interesting times. And maybe it's the day that I succeed, or maybe it's not. We will find out though. I also have a new rig. I have a new setup for my computer. And this is the first time that rig is being tested. So we're going to find out whether the audio, the video is all working nicely today. So I hope that it is working. I did a few too many checks already on the sound. And some things broke and changed knobs and all this sort of stuff. So it's all a bit different. But it seems to be going smoothly on the gameplay side of things, right? Nothing bad has happened yet. Yeah. So this is very close to the time of it being uploaded. It's being, I think, arguably, is being recorded a few hours before it actually appears online. And we'll have minimal editing. So this is going to be one where if I have tons of weird mouth noises or something, you're gonna have to suffer, and I'm sorry about that. Kind of. But in any case, yeah, this is very near to time of existence, and that's also because I want to keep it up. I want to keep it up. I've got a good flow going. I want to keep the flow going for sure, and I'm also recording the next episode almost directly after this one, so you're going to get 2 weeks of content are going to be prepared, which is good, and I'll be kind of working in advance again, as I should be. So in my life, there's like a big change, which is I have a different job situation now. So that will affect a lot of parts of my life, but I think, I'll be worse off financially, but I'll be much better off, spiritually, emotionally, health-wise, maybe even. Because I can already feel like a physical impact from physical impact from the job situation, where I'm not feeling as stressed out already as I normally am, and I actually still am dealing with like some residual work and stress from that job, but it's actually like at a much lower threshold, and I was kind of starting to feel it like in my body a bit, and so I can actually feel that bodily feeling easing away. It's still there a little bit, but it's much more gone than it was say a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So I've been doing that now, having a job change. That's kind of like the life update, I guess, for this episode. I also got to see a very good concert, which I'll probably talk about in the next one. And today I'll be focusing kind of on viewer questions. And I would say, I'd like to remind you, if you are a viewer, you can ask questions. They can be in English or German or languages that are translatable by DeepL. And I will answer them. Doesn't matter who you are. Although I'm very happy with the questions I get from our main questioner, who usually gives us something to chew on. And this week is no different. So there are a lot of questions because I haven't really done a questions episode in a while. I've kind of just meandered about my own things. And so basically for the last few episodes, there's quite a few questions that have piled up, and I'm going to answer them all, I hope. Especially because it's going so well on the jumping front, I'm kind of excited. So, the first one, and I did like a little bit of prep for this, but I didn't actually do real prep, so I don't actually have like scripted answers or well thought out answers, to be honest. But I did write down a little bit of notes for myself, just to tell me what the questions are and so on. And the first one comes from Yulia, and it says, tell us your top 3 video games of all time. And I'll start by saying, Jump King is not on the list. But I kind of had a moment where I kind of do what I usually do, I would say, which is I take the question and I go, how do I want to answer the question? And two kinds of answers approached in my mind. One is like the one that's about investment of time, which is like which games have you played the most, maybe? Um, that was catastrophically bad. Um, and the other one is like, oh, what are my favorite ones, right? Favorite as in most enjoyment. And I think the question is asking about the most enjoyment. But I kind of feel like when I make such a list of like, oh, what are your top three, it it isn't just about the favorites then. It kind of has like a different metric. It also has like a critical dimension. And I'm not gonna like, I don't think, come up with three critically best games. But I'll start with like playtime. So for me, there's one game that I have played the most. And that's League of Legends. I played League of Legends in 2010 in season 1. I played it in season 2, season 3, season 4. I played it every season. Um, except I don't think I played a game this season yet, actually, because it started recently, or will start recently. I actually don't know. But I've played it every year of my life since it has existed. So I've played League of Legends for 15 years. And I probably played the most of it during seasons 3 and 4. In season 3, it was my first year of college, and every day, I shit you not, every day, I would go to my dorm room after classes. I would do some work, and then I would eat dinner, and then I would game with my like team, basically. Like it was family members and friends, my girlfriend at the time, and we would play in ranked teams. We'd play normal lobbies, and we would just be playing tons of League. So every day, basically. And that's kind of how playing League is. No, uh, I really love parts of the game. I think the design of like the MOBA is amazing. I think that the entry level is good considering what MOBAs are like to play. Um, I think the amount of things you can do, mastery, specific things, builds. I've always loved building characters in the game. Um, there's so much that you can do, so much types of skill expression, and even as they've changed how skill expression can occur, they've always added more in more unique ways. Um, and it also had a killer esports scene. So, like it pulled me in so many different ways. Um, especially near season 3, 4. I also really like some of these later seasons. Two, I can't like remember specifically which ones, but um, yeah, I would say that like we as a team were not really good. There were too many problems. But I was always a pretty good League player. So in the beginning of like season 2, I played ranked for the first time. I played only a few games, and I was just under gold elo, having never played ranked before. Then in season 3, I just played with my friends, and we kind of were in Silverland forever. As it goes. In season 4, I decided to play solo queue as a solo player, and I got to platinum. And I also played a duo queue with my older sister, and she also got platinum. So we're quite strong players actually, in the top 5 to 10% of the player base, and so on. So like there's so much energy and fun that has gone into it. I haven't really played League seriously since season 4. When I say seriously, I mean like trying to win, and even back then, and when I say trying to win, I mean like doing my all to have victories. Although when I got back into it in Germany, kind of after a bit of a break, with one of my friends, who's a support player. I did kind of like try a bit harder for a time with them, which was great fun. It was really cool because they, as a player, were kind of a low rank player, and they kept improving constantly as we played together. It was really fun to kind of play a role that I don't play very much in bot lane, and build up, this kind of this duo synergy, and we reached platinum together. We might have even have reached emerald, but I think platinum is where we peaked. Yeah, we're quite strong players, which was also great. So it was really fun. I like the competitive spirit of the game, and that's why it is my top most played game ever. The community is bad, but people who play competitive games know that every community is bad. So that's just how it is. I do think some of the measures to remove toxicity actually like increased it and different things, but in the end, I think it's not an easy game to get into, and it's not the kind of game that everybody will like to play. I actually played it with some of our viewers, one of them at least, and he played it quite a bit, but it was just not for him, and also the skill level, the gap of how much you need to play. I think probably he played 100 games or something, maybe less, but that's like almost 100 hours of time, and you still are a complete beginner at that point, and that's why people who play League get really addicted on the one hand, because it's like you really you have to make it a habit to get good, unless you're very naturally gifted, and nowadays natural talent is not going to push you very far, because you need to know so much information. You have to remember, what 100 and maybe 20 120 different characters' abilities are, what they do, how they work together with other characters, and this creates all kinds of situations where you have to make quick judgments and decisions that are really tough. So I wouldn't really recommend it, to be honest, anymore. But I do think it is my top game in playtime, in engagement. That's what it is. And it was a big part of things that I did. So yeah. And to answer like a pre-question, my favorite League champ is Ahri, which I know is kind of basic. But it's because of the gameplay. I've been a fill player my entire League days, and that means that I play every role, and I can play every role at the plat level. I've gotten to platinum in every single position, and I've played every champion, except maybe the couple of newest ones at this point, and so I have the ability to really pick what I want in a game and to execute on it pretty well, which is not normal in League. Most League players only play 1 or 2 champions, maybe 3 or 4 at most. But of all the champions that I play, there are only a few that I can play for 30 games in a row, like ever. And Ahri is probably my favorite one. Like I can just play her over and over again because the way that she works is super for me. It's designed for me. It's my style of gameplay. It's like control and assassin, and that's really cool. Game 2. Crusader Kings 2 and 3. I'm not going to choose which one. I'm just going to say both of them. They are grand strategy games from Paradox Initiative. I don't know why I did that. And in Crusader Kings, you run a family dynasty. In the Crusader era, you can start all the way back in like the Viking Age. It goes up to like the medieval times, kind of begin the end of the Crusades and all that. And you run this dynasty, and you have to be landed, or you did have to be. You don't have to be in Crusader Kings 3, but in 2, you always had to be landed. And you try to manage your dynasty. You want to make sure that your family always inherits noble titles, or you lose the game if you have no bloodline that goes down. And because of that, you're always in this big sphere of doing things. You're trying to befriend different nobles. You're maybe attacking different nobles, kind of get their land. You're trying uh, to make basically political moves. You're maybe trying to assassinate the I don't know, um, Karl the Great or something like this. Um, you're trying to marry Alfred the Great's bastard child that you didn't know about. Um, you're doing all these different kinds of things. Um, and it has this emergent gameplay effect. You are the one who's creating a story as you play. Um, as you play through a family, like it's a family intergenerational story that you're making. And you can make custom characters. You can like do historical things. You can kind of do challenges. There's so many different ways to play the game because there is the only goal is to not lose, right? So you get to set your own goals to make the fun out of it. And this means that maybe like you decide like, oh, I want to make a version of Christianity in the Crusader era that is very into like queer stuff. Like we're gonna have queer marriage. We're gonna have gay people be openly accepted as rulers of the Christian faith. We're gonna be kind of like ELCA Christians. And that could be your goal for the family. So like you start from the very beginning and you set out to try and change Christianity, and you're like, well, how do I do that? You know, for Orthodox Catholicism, and some of the apostolic faiths and insular faiths at the beginning of this era, and you know, what are you going to do to try and change it? You're going to need to create heresy. You know, you're going to need to either create like a cult and work in the shadows, secret societies. That's what you do maybe in Crusader Kings 2 and Crusader Kings 3. You're still working in the shadows, but you might be also developing characters who are like theologians. You're maybe devoting time to inviting geniuses to live in your court to tutor your children. And you're also making choices about your children to kind of encourage them to be maybe a zealous, because you want to have kids with traits, with personality traits that might actually be what you need to make that new religion. And in the end, you also have to be very pious. So you have to be holy to be able to start a new religion. And so, in the terms of Catholicism, you need to be a holy person according to Catholicism, even as you kind of break away from it. To do that, maybe you are helping in Holy War. Maybe instead of crusading Jerusalem, you befriend the Pope and you tell the Pope that you want to crusade those damn Nordic Vikings. And so the Crusades start not against Israel in the Middle East. The Crusades begin in Scandinavia against the different tribes of people, some of which worship the Norse gods, some of which worship the like Semitic gods or whatever they're called. And you kind of go around and you make these stories, and that's so fun. It's so easy to get pulled into, and I do like it a lot. I still sometimes just launch Crusader Kings, and if you ever somehow manage to get bored, which is almost impossible, because they're always releasing new DLC, always releasing new content. So there are mods too. You know, if you're into Game of Thrones, there's entire mods that are working on Westeros and all the politics and so on. And importantly, you know, Crusader Kings is very historical, so it's full of real life kind of characters in history from the different start dates that you can choose to play as, or to make your enemies or your allies. So it's just fun for people who care about these things. You want to learn something. It's also decent. Teaches you geography. And yeah, it puts you in charge, which I think is just great. It's very hard though. All the grand strategy games typically are pretty hard. And the reason for this is that you're managing money, you're managing religion, you're managing your population to make sure that they're not going to revolt, you're managing your family to make sure they aren't stabbing you in the back, you're managing the secession. You know, maybe your secession is voted on, so you need to support people to make sure you get voted for. You're managing military stuff. Are my nearby people going to mess with me? You're managing your coffers, but also the loyalty of your direct vassals. Maybe you have to host feasts, parties. You're managing your great hall and the way that it looks. You're also maybe hearing out what your citizens have to say, solving their kind of problems in justice system of the time. Um, it's a lot of stuff, and there are at least like 6 standard ways to play in terms of just like focus of your character. But it goes even beyond that because you're kind of not one person exactly like you are, and when you die, it will inherit to another. But as like the head of your dynasty, you'll also be managing the more family members you have, the more people you'll be in charge of indirectly or directly. So there's all kinds of like go on. In a way, it could be attractive if you're like a big fan of like parts of like The Sims, but also absolutely not for other reasons. But I think it's good fun to have your child who goes and decides to be the Antichrist, because Crusader Kings has a lot of fun, bizarre events too. Number 3. I'm not sure what the number 3 game by like playtime and so on is. I thought maybe it's like Counter-Strike. I have played a bunch of Counter-Strike, but I'm not really good at Counter-Strike. That's obviously one of the most popular FPSs in the world. Both my siblings are extremely good. They make us normies look like nothing. Really great people, and it's really fun to play when you're doing well, especially. It's also, it can help if you just need sometimes to go shoot something, like after you fall 39 times in 20 minutes. That's one example. Anyways, so Counter-Strike is that. Why can't I move? Oh, I am in the snow. That's why. Strong moment. Now, by enjoyment, I would definitely say number 1 goes to Inscryption. Going back to it, I got to watch Teo play it all the way through. I played Casey's mod a million times. I just love Inscryption. It is my favorite game. It is my top 1 game. And that's wild to me in some ways, because I don't think I would always say that, but I think it just it's the full kit. And it's also like the experience that you never can really do again, because it's just a special game. It's so unique. And I'm really excited for Pony Island 2, because I need more of Dan Mullen. After that, it's a bit tough. I do think like Crusader Kings will be in the running for enjoyment even. I mean, I've been gushing about it for quite some time here. But I'm not 100% sure where it exactly lands. There's also the question of like games like Skyrim, and it's like I definitely think it's special, and I love it in a unique way, I guess, or a very ununique way, maybe actually. But at the same time, I feel like Skyrim actually has hurt itself by re-releasing itself so many times, and it isn't just like in the vault of memories. It's something that's constantly redefined, and that actually kind of hurts it in this sort of mental ranking. Whereas like an experience like Inscryption that is one time is really truly special to me. The Voyage of Obra Dinn is another one that I absolutely massively love, adore. I think I would say it's probably number 3. So if Inscription is 1, Voyage Return of the Oberdin or Voyage of the Oberdin, I actually don't remember which one it is. It might be Return. Um, is a immersive, emergent, kind of detective game almost, where you have a special locket that lets you see how people died, and you're trying to, for an insurance company, determine how everyone died on the ship, the Oberdin. And this is extremely difficult to do because it requires you to use deductive and inductive reasoning. You have to really think about things and be like, okay, what happened here? In some cases, it's clear. And it also has like surprise, kind of gothic horror elements. It has this really unique art style that when I began playing, I was like, oh my god, I hate this. And by the time I was 20 minutes in, I was like, I love this. This is special. And it is. So that one is really unique and good. And I in some ways I'm sad that I'll never be able to do it again, because it's such a cool and unique way to do a story, and it has such unique, beautiful graphics. But it is difficult. It is. If I went back, I would have to replay it. Right? I don't really remember all the specific details, but I think I beat it on my like in terms of guesses. I think I only had to guess like the last 3 or 4 people. And it's unfortunately the case that I just was not smart enough to figure out the proper solution. I also had a bug early on in my game that created some issues. But it was not one that has really happened online much, so I think it was kind of a very freak thing where I had done something to the book in game that just not supposed to happen, I guess. So it kind of missed timing on things, and I had to kind of troubleshoot, which caused some guessing to occur. But there are some crew members that you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be really an actual detective to think about, like, outside of the box, how are you going to explain these? And sometimes I did that, but other times I did not. So I'm saying that one is 3 and Inscription is 1. While I try to think of what 2 would be. And I think the game that I'm going to choose is one that's sequel I've been playing recently. Which actually, wait a minute. There is also Baldur's Gate to contend with. Forgot about that. And also Tyranny, which I also really like. Damn. So Baldur's Gate is probably like 4 or so, I would say. It's really spectacular game. I've even beat it in honor mode. Like, I really liked it. I really do like it. I think the only thing I don't like about Baldur's Gate is more of a it's over kind of thing. Like it's finished. And occasionally just some of those problems, I guess. Gosh, it's so hard to choose, actually. Just like you suddenly remember, like, oh yeah, there's these other games that I'm thinking about at all. There's also Knights of the Old Republic 2. That would probably be we'll say that's my number. It did things so that games like Baldur's Gate could run. Dialogue trees with good and evil options, Star Wars setting, really cool usage, very cool plot twists, especially when you're the age that I was whenever I played those games. Yeah, and I think I will never probably get to experience like a Star Wars style RPG because it doesn't seem to be in the cards, I guess. that really has that fun, almost escapist kind of gameplay to it that is special, while also uh, delivering you companions and stuff that you get attached to. And in the end, it's like Baldur's Gate and games like this, they follow in the footsteps of these games, like Knights of the Republic do. And I am just I think that it comes back and it matters. I even went back and replayed Code or 2 at some point years ago now, like all the remastered, um, reconfigured content that had been from the cutting room floor that was like kind of out there, and I had read about when I was younger, and it was fun. Combat's really bad, but I think I would give it number 2 as being like all time. I'm kind of like, I don't know about Oberdin because I feel like the recency bias is a factor maybe. But I'm gonna let it sit like that. Probably, if I'm being honest, it would be like something like Pokemon Ruby would probably be like number 3, not Oberdin, just because I loved that shit when I was, and I still play ROM hacks of it and things like that. So it's not even really over for me. And sorry, I dropped my power cord for my controller. Okay, we're at 30 minutes. We're at 55 falls. The next question. That was only one question. Oh my lord. Well, that's good for content, I guess. Can you do a pop culture moments tier list at the end of the year? For example, publications in media, things that came out you liked or hated, social events, public debates, things that went viral you noticed, or private highlights if you like, as a silly video. Now I said yes to this in comment on YouTube, and I'll also say I had originally thought like, oh, I'll just like do a section in my best of the year highlights video. But I realized that maybe that's not the best way to do it. And it would be maybe more interesting, more useful, better if I did it as a separate fun video, as you suggested in the comment. I don't know about like the fair use aspect, so I'll probably have to comment on everything, because that's a whole rule here in Germania. But I have no problem with that, so I think I might. Yeah, I'm happy to do it, and I already have some things in mind, like especially when it comes to big events in society, social events, viral moments, things like this. I do see a lot of things that I don't really think about, like, oh, did it stick with me? But now that I even just spin the wheels a little bit now, and I'm like, oh yeah, that Mehdi Hassan debate on Jubilee, that shit killed me. Stuff like that. Next question. Another game question. What kind of games do you prefer? Single or multiplayer, and why? Examples, question mark. Well, I can't max jump that, I guess. I prefer, honestly, single player games most of the time, and that might surprise some of you because you play multiplayer games with me. Some of you do. And you know that I enjoy those too. And I also do love multiplayer games. It's not like a vast gulf or something like that. It's definitely a case of like, oh, do you like Bratwurst or do you like Krakauer? And I'm like, oh, I like Krakauer a bit more. Like it's a little bit more for me. But I like them both. I can eat them both happily. I'll enjoy them both. So that's kind of where I'm at. In terms of single player, I think when it comes to what I like in games, there are like 3 things that are like the biggest. So I like unique design. and it can be taking a formula that already exists and doing something special with it. For example, like Hades, where it takes the rogue genre and it creates really good storytelling with beautiful art and fun gameplay. It's really just like a whole new redefinition. It's like a new codifier of the genre. I also would say it would include things like the Magic Circle or Stanley Parable, Inscription, Obra Dinn, games that have unique gameplay that you won't find in other games, and you go like, "Oh my god, what the hell is this? This is crazy. What am I experiencing?" And oftentimes that can be metafictional as well. Not always, but I like meta games. And most of the ones I just listed have like meta stuff in them, except for Obra Dinn, I guess. And in that case, it's very much so that as players, right, you have this shared knowledge of production of the genre and all these things, and I like to explore that, and it almost never happens in a multiplayer situation. I can't think of one example where it does. Maybe there's something out there. Tell me in the comments. I'll play it. Yeah. I also think the next thing is like immersion is really important for me. So when I play a game, I like to be feeling the game, and multiplayer is like the opposite of that. Unless it is a competitive game, in which case the social competitive aspect is part of the game. But like a good example is Phasmo. Phasmo's a game I like to play. It's good. But I am not immersed in Phasmo at all when I play it. It is much more a social activity where I do things that I wouldn't do if I was playing alone and I was immersed. Because if I was alone and immersed, I would be number one, pissing myself. I would probably be extremely cautious. I'd be really scared because I'm a coward when it comes to things like haunting, scary things. So to that extent, like it changes how I experience the game entirely. The immersion versus non-immersion is hugely different. And because of that, I would say like the kinds of games that hit me really hard, which is like story narrative games, which are almost never multiplayer. They are much more weakened in that context. Like immersion drops if they're multiplayer. I'm trying to think of a good example of that. Why did I do that? But I can't. 64 false. All right. We need to get our sheet together. The last thing is like interactivity. So I really like games that have interactivity that you can kind of just do, like Metroidvania stuff, even like where there's secrets or there's Easter eggs or there's glitches or multiple endings or interactivity in terms of like how the gameplay itself functions, unique ways to play the game, etc. And those things are more often found in single player, right? I mean, in the three examples of longest play games that are multiplayer, all of them can be played multiplayer. In League, there is this diversity of interactions. In Crusader Kings, interaction diversity is so high that it actually slowly kills your game, especially in the second one. Eventually becomes unplayable sometimes because there's so many people in the world doing different things. And in the case of Counter-Strike, it's about the guns. Right? It's about the unique interactions that you have in terms of all the different weapons, spray patterns. These kind of things sometimes are more barren in an average multiplayer game, I would say. What's next? Well, I also think I wanted to mention one other thing about that, which is like my status growing up into gaming. My parents were both gamers when I was very young. They were still gaming. My father played like shooter games like Delta Force or like stealth games, military games. My mom played like Myst, puzzle games, played uh, also different RPGs and things like that. Played Star Wars TIE Fighter, these kind of games. And like we'd type in the MS-DOS line and like they would play them. We'd play them too. But we also grew up like watching. So like I watched my dad play Delta Force. I watched my mom play Myst. I watched my older sister play games all the time. When we were younger in the summers and so on. We only had one PC. Even we had a PlayStation, but we also had lots of single player games. Like the new remaster of MGS3. I watched my older sister play MGS3 from cover to end, before my eyes, right? And that informs kind of also maybe my attachment to single player games as multiplayer experiences. So like I don't like streaming, like I don't go watch people stream games. And I never really have been a devoted stream watcher. The closest I ever got was when I was living in the US in like my third year of college or so, and we were very big into the League scene, and we were watching pro players stream in the background sometimes, just because they were funny. But that we didn't really do that all the time. We actually watched shows most of the time. So like not that way, but more like watching a friend or a family member play through a game. That's a great experience. I like that a lot. It's enjoyable. It's interesting. And I think there's something beautiful about watching someone experience something that you love. So, as I said, I watched Teo play Inscription all the way through. Watching Teo play Inscription was one of my highlights of gaming, maybe in the year, because it was just it's so nice to watch someone experience this thing that you love and to even like it too. You go, damn, that's great. It's almost like you get to see someone hit those surprise moments at the same time. It does maybe add some pressure sometimes. Inscription is a tough game, and so there maybe was some of that at times. But interestingly, Teo was quite good at Inscription compared to me when I played, which was very funny for me to watch because I was just like, wow, like she's just better at this game than me in the beginning. And I think in Act 2, I had a bit of a cleaner Act 2 than her, but I was just like shocked at how fast she progressed and how well she did, and also not shocked because I was like, well, she's smart. And it was really cool to see how that impacted the game, because it's the kind of game that changes based on how you approach it. Just cool stuff. Very interesting. Very fun. 73. 27 to go. My next question is about Gilmore Girls, because it is Gilmore Girls season. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it is Gilmore Girls season, and I have watched it as a youngin in high school. I've watched it probably 6 times through or something. I haven't watched it recently, or at least not in the last 2 years. I think I might have watched it a few years ago when I ended up watching the revival season. What a disaster that was. And the question is, which boyfriends suck the most, or boyfriend? And I'm gonna be to be honest, like Jess sucks the most. And most people who are Jess stans will be very angry right now. And they'll be like, what about Dean? Dean sucks the most. I'm like, Dean also sucks. He fucking sucks too. So it's okay. He also is not a good boyfriend for me. But I dislike Jess, partially personal reasons. I am a book nerd who grew up kind of poor, who uh, sometimes interacted with women some of the same ways as Jess in some instances at least. Not exactly in the same ways, but there's like some parallels to my high school times. In just some of how he acts. Um, and I see him as like the annoying evil version of that. I'm just like I fucking it's like it's familiarity breeds contempt, right? I'm like I love books. I have some partial background similarities here and there with him. I would totally probably have been into Rory if I ever knew Rory in real life, just based on the personality. And I would have had similar interactions probably. I don't know about like dating and all that kind of stuff, but just generally same kind of vibe. Um, and I always dislike just how badly he treats her. Like he just treats her so shittily, so consistently from early on throughout basically. And he does get like the short end of the stick for sure. He gets it back to him, like he gets dished back. But I'm like, at least Dean was like a good boyfriend like at some point in the relationship. And so to me that's why Jess is enemy number one. um and yeah, I also just don't like the violence stuff and the home wrecking kind of capacity. Like, if somebody is in a relationship, I don't think it's right to impinge upon it or to create any stress on it, regardless of your feelings. And I don't even think he had feelings for Rory at the time, which makes it even more. Like, it's like if he was madly in love with her, I think it would have been slightly more appropriate, maybe. But even then, it felt like it was more just to fuck with Dean at the beginning, and it's like you're crazy, dude. Like you're not doing it right. Um, and I also think he has like a lot of coward behavior, like when he runs away. Um, I think skipping school to go fucking work at Walmart is sadly some kind of loser shit, and like that's that's what teenagers do. Like teenagers do stupid things. But I it doesn't mean that I can't judge a fictional character. It'd probably be easier on a person in real life if they did it. But I think that uh, the excuses and stuff he gives in are stupid. I think it's kind of cowardice, emotionally infantile stuff that kind of goes on. And I also really dislike his how cruel he is to Luke in general. Fellow Luke, he deserves better. 86, 14 to go, 13 to go. Shouldn't have said a word. After that, it's Dean. He's bad too. I mean, he's also a home wrecker, wrecking his own home. And Rory's also a home wrecker, wrecking his home. He's a cheater. He is ridiculously kind to her at the beginning. It gradually becomes just a shitlord. I really don't like many of his choices. I do think there's like a classist dimension to Gilmore Girls where like they're kind of like criticizing Dean for not going to like college, and it's like, I mean, he's a fucking millennial. Like, going to college was mostly a scam to most of us. So I don't know. That whole aspect seems a bit overly optimistic, and it's probably because the writers are not writer I should say is not actually like from this generation, doesn't actually know the real experience. And it kind of sells then this idea that like Dean is in the wrong for not going to go get more educated. And the truth is, education comes in many different forms. Being a construction worker is a pathway towards financial stability and success later on. You can go back to college. And the messaging on this is really unclear because like Lorelai is an example of someone who does that. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. And I'm focusing only on Rory so far. I'll come back. Pluralize people in a second. But yeah, I think that's Rory. I don't think the others matter that the small kind of minor things. In terms of Lorelai, I think Christopher's probably the worst. I just don't like him. I don't like him in the show at all. I don't like his personality. I think he's kind of weenie. I don't like how hung up he is on one person, how he can't move on. I also don't like. I don't think the chemistry is really there either. And I've always been a Max Medina stan, probably because I like English. Yeah. So that's the Gilmore Girls. And which boyfriend sucked the most? The next question is, what is my favorite horror movie, and why is it Scream? I'll start by saying my favorite horror movie is not Scream. But Scream is my favorite slasher movie. That's not direct comedy. So it's still up there. It's still probably like top 5. My favorite horror movie is Midsummer, which I had on my list last year. And I actually just had somebody talk to me about it in one of my teaching classes. They asked me about it randomly. Like, oh, it's kind of like this movie Midsummer. Have you seen it? I'm like, yes, it's great. And Midsummer is my favorite horror movie because it is wonderfully abject, has really uniquely powerful scenes in it that are just like, ugh. They make you maybe want to gag or fill you with disgust. 95. Which is part of horror. It's also beautiful. Like, it's colorful. It's got these really cool visuals in it. Even some of the abject visuals are really interesting and dynamic, and it's just like nice to see. It has a great concept from start to finish. Like, this whole idea of like, oh, you go up to a midsummer festival with this these people that you basically cannot understand from the narrative framing. You have this alien kind of culture that is more, traditional, pagan in a sense, and this the horror that emerges from that unfamiliar space is profound. It's interesting. It's striking. It's stunning. The horror is so strong. So that's my favorite. It also combines my favorite of like thriller plus like some of that more gory, almost humorous stuff. It's also a bit heady, which I like. But Scream is good. Very good. I actually recommended it to someone just recently. That's 100 Falls. And I think the poetry of Scream is that it is lovely meta horror, very funny, very scary. It uses horror techniques that are basic and delivers on them as a strong premise. Other movies should learn from Scream. And it's not Scream 1, I'm talking about Scream 5, also named Scream, the requel. With that in mind, we have finished our Jump King challenge video for today. That was 100 falls. Thank you so much. Please ask more questions so I can answer them too. And have a great day.